Hi, welcome back. This is the sixth story from a previous vlog of 5 stories looking at the Fool from the Animal Totem Tarot by Eugene Smith and Lisa Robertson. This time I'm just doing it, I'm rambling in a way, being myself. I haven't got my glasses on, but then I don't really need it for this video. So this is almost my authentic self. So the reason I'm doing it this way is that in putting together the last snapshots of the Fool episode, I went through a process, and it seemed that the process was just as important as what the product is. So you end up doing something, creating 5 stories about analysing and finding different Fools in one Fool card. But going through that, something happened, and it was sort of typical of how the tarot works for me. And so it was strong enough that I thought, wow, okay. And Terry suggested, wow, okay, let's just do a separate story about it. So here we go. It's going to be rambling because that's the way I am. I ramble all over the place. I look at ideas and chop and change all over the place, and this is just me. So stick with it. I hope that you'll come through this little story with me too. I started out with a different Fool card, and I spent days on it, like I do, just nearly a week, looking and thinking and writing things down. And I don't usually look at the tarot myself or draw another card unless I get stuck, and then I'll pull one out and go from there. I just take that as guidance. I hadn't done that, and I was heading down some wonderful little trails, but something just didn't work very well, and it became apparent that there really wasn't a rabbit hole in here for me. The picture on the card was a cat, and it was a really appealing cat. It just kind of jumped out at me, and I thought, oh, I think I'll go with this one. And there were some other things lying around in the card that was symbolic, that could have been very sort of Rider-Waite-Smithy, but it just didn't work. It could have been that these things could have been in any other card, but it was just a disappointment in the end. And the card itself was fine. It's quite valid. I could, if I had enough tools or whatever it is, experience, then like other readers, you can just pick up any old card. It could be a picture of a pet rock, and if you've got the background, you can just start building a story about it. You know that pet rock represents the Fool card, and then you just do a reading with it, and that's experience, and that's a skill, and that's an understanding. But it's not what we're doing with snapshots of the Fool. What we're doing is taking some art that someone's put together and going and looking and finding a Fool, finding a type of Fool and the story about that Fool. Now, it may not be that the artist ever intended that Fool to be there. Might have intended something completely different, but we can still find it if it's got depth. But this card turned out to be what I would think of as a sort of saccharine, empty calories. It's a good card, didn't work for what we're into. So I had to abandon it. And the process really was that it hit hard, because I thought, what a waste of time and mental effort. And I was really disappointed, and I felt let down and all the rest of it. And had to work my way through that, because, as I say, it's a valid tarot card, it's a valid Fool card. The fact that I couldn't use it for my purpose was my problem, nothing to do with the card. But I lost my confidence a wee bit, and at this point it was time to go and talk to the tarot. So choosing which card to do next in replace of the one that I'd had to abandon, the lovely cat, I had to leave that behind. So choosing the card was part of the process, and it shows how, to me, that it's not just simply me and the tarot, but there's always more involved, and that I have companions too. So Dr. T, as he always does, sent me pictures of full cards to choose from. He'd sent that along, and I was still really disappointed and had lost some confidence there. So we thought, okay, we'll go back, have a look at the ghost deck and see which one I can use to choose by drawing a card for each. This was Dr. T's suggestion, so it was really helpful. So I put them down, and for the first full card option, I got the Ace of Wands. Now that was interesting because I'd had the Ace of Wands for something else the day before, and I thought, oh, that's great, that's come up again, but maybe not. Then the next card, Five of Swords. Now we all know what the Five of Swords is like. Okay, put that one down. Then we got the Hierophant. Now we've just been doing a lot of interesting stuff on Dr. T's blog, The Philosopher's Journey, with the Hierophant, so that was definitely something that had been floating around for a while, so I'd learned quite a bit about that card. So there we go, it's number 3 card. Maybe not. And then the Six of Cups. Put that one down and looked at it, and I've spent time myself with this card because it kept coming up over and over again in multiple decks. I kept drawing the same card, so I'm very familiar with this one, but there we go, I'm not sure. So I sat there and rambled away in my mind trying to work out which of these 4 was the one that was going to indicate which fool to go with, and I couldn't make up my mind. And Dr. T came in and he looked around and he raised his eye over the cards and he said, oh, that one, and point to the Six of Cups, and he didn't say why. So we sat down and had a look at the other ones in relation to the cards that they were going to represent. And in each case there was a doorway. Quite simply, it just said you can come in this way, and here's the key that's going to start helping you unlock the fool that's inside this cards, and then again the next one, and again and again. So they were all valid, but I still couldn't make up my mind which one to choose. So Dr. T said, well, it's coming down to how about just choosing yes or no. That's simple, and there's a real simple technique that you can use if you're cheating a wee bit with tarot, if you simply can't put things together, and that's that you get yes for even cards and no for odd cards. And Dr. T had noticed that the only even card we had in the deck was the Six of Cups, and the Six of Cups said yes. So there we are, choice over, done. We had the Animal Totem Tarot. So when I got started on preparing the full snapshot for this card, the Animal Totem Tarot, I headed off down a rabbit hole and went exploring one storyline. That's all I'd expected. I set about it the way I always do, which is I sit down with a card and tick off all the Rider-Waite-Smith symbols that I recognise, and then look for the ones that are missing. And of course this one has mostly missing. There's very little in here, which is perhaps its beauty. But anyway, it's missing. So that took me off on a journey of things that were missing, and off I went, and down I went, and I went further and further down a hole into the dark hole story of extinction, because that is the story that really resonates with my deepest values. One of my most personal, deepest values is the Justice card. Justice is my thing. And I won't go into loads of personal detail about that, but that kind of guides things with me. And also the justice of what's happening here now with climate change and so on. So realised that I was really locked in on that story, and it was just gloomy. And the other thing was that it didn't take us anywhere, and also that it was so much like I've been tempted with all the other readings that I've done so far to go down that path. It's like it's very easy to pull a storyline in line with what you really want in your own values and start to distort things so that it matches and mirrors what's inside you, rather than be kind of open to what's in front of you. So my good friend Dr. T came and he pointed that out to me and suggested a way out of it, which is to split the story into different ones. So come and find other stories. And okay, so I did, started again. We got the extinction story in there in number 2, and it really is pretty real and it does resonate with me, but found all those other ones and they were fun too and just as real. There's just as much good stuff in there, or things to learn in there, and there's just as much satisfaction for the old justice card when I've got things in balance and I've got right to the point and there's a couple of edges to it. So there we go. So that's the process part about choosing which story to go with. And I thought I was finished, but I hadn't. Partway through, I just thought, I'm still not seeing what I'm looking for. I can make a fool arrive. I can build a fool into the story. I can do all kinds of things, but I can't see the fool. So where is the fool? So we got close in story number 5, if you've watched. We got very close. I still wasn't there, and it still didn't satisfy what it was that I was driving for. I felt I was driving for. So at this point I went back to the ghost deck and drew my card for real, and that was the Lover's card. So I looked at that and I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? Dr. T was currently working on analysing the Lover's card for his blog on our website, which is called The Philosopher's Journey. So I thought, well, perhaps I've chosen a card asking the wrong question. Perhaps I've asked about his blog, not mine. But I know that the ghost deck doesn't work like that with me. I don't have to ask specific questions and get my wording quite right. I just have to be there, and then what I get, I trust. So the Lover's card had to be right, but I still didn't understand it. So I drew a second card just for some clarification, and I got the Moon. Now when you put the Moon and the Lover's card together, you can get yourself into some really confusing spaces. I mean, what do? They're both major arcana cards. They're both pretty big. And what on earth could they have to do with the Fool card that I'm looking at? But the way the ghost deck also works for me is that the little white book has got some instructions in it and some guidance in it. Now it's translated from Italian. It's very cryptic, and it's so different from most of the other Rider-Waite-Smith kind of little booklets and guidance and meanings for cards that it's interesting to me. And I've discovered that if I sit long enough with these cryptic little comments that are there, I can gain a huge amount from it. So of course I went back to the deck and I had a look, and there we've got a meaning for that card for the Lovers and another one for the Moon, and I had my answer. Not only could I find the Fool, but I could find the Fool's risk. So back to the card, and here we are, a very brief story 6. If we look at the staff lying there, we see the red tie lying across it. This time it's flicking up and down like the light on a railway crossing. Up and down like a signal. It's signalling stop, so you know that when you pull up alongside it, you just sit and wait and you wait for something to go past. You wait for the train of thought. Here is the grasshopper. The grasshopper's got a blue eye like a human, like me, but it's shaped like a diamond or a crystal, so it's more like the spirit. So there we have the train of thought, the spirit flying down the track along the staff, and woof, out it goes, out over the edge. And the edge is the lover's crossroads. There's the decision, there's the point that the spirit comes together with the fool, and the fool is the logical, thinking, rational side of me, or any other reader who is sitting there looking at the card, trying to gain meaning, finding the spirit, drawing the spirit out, so that together you can put it together and make the alchemy that brings meaning out of your rational and your spiritual side, so that then you can go forward with that, take that meaning to someone else and share it, so that they can get clarity and understanding, and to help and support them and bring more harmony into their life. Or you can do it for yourself. So there I had the lovers. The lovers were those two sides coming together, spirit and rational thinking coming together in the fool, and for that moment I'm the fool. But wait, there's more. What about the moon card? Well, when you look at human spirit, when you look at a person, we know that we're more than just either our rational mind or our spiritual mind. We have to have balance. We have to have both those sides of ourselves, and they have to be in harmony. Again, we look towards the Lover's card for that. But the thing about the moon is it tells us there's a risk, and the risk is that if we stay locked into rational thinking, where we need proof for everything around us, and there have to be rules, and the rules have to stay the same every time, and every experiment that we do, we have to have the same answer so that we know we can trust it. That's our rational mind. But if we ignore the other side of us, the intuitive side of us, the storytelling side of us, the fantasy side of us, the spiritual side of us that just believes even though there sometimes isn't proof and we can't repeat experiments. But if we forget and we ignore that side of ourselves, we've only told part of who we are. So we haven't told the truth, really. We haven't really used what's available to us as humans. We were designed to be more than that, to slide backwards and forwards from our rational to our spiritual to our intuitive and back again. Use all the tools that are available to us. Nature designed us that way, but we so often just split it into either this or either that. This camp thinks this camp thinks that, and we're just not telling the truth about who we are, and we miss something. We really do. Now the other part of the risk is if we go the other way and we just simply follow spirit all the time. If everything around us has potential meaning, if we can connect the dots with anything, we can do all kinds of magical little storytelling. We can make pet rocks become runes. We can do all kinds of things. And there's a huge amount of good and value and learning that comes from that. But if we lose ourselves in that, we'll find that we're just floating around. We don't know where bedrock is. We don't know where the solid ground is. There aren't any facts to support us. There's no truth that we can rely on. We can't repeat experiments. So we flounder. And if we do it for too much and too long and we don't have the balance, then we can drown. We absolutely can drown in our own spiritual need and flakiness. So we have to have both. The risk is that we have to have both. We have to have it in balance. Then when we do that, we definitely mitigate the risk of either getting lost in one way or lost in the other way. And we can do this. It's so easy. We just have to use the tools that are available to us. Now, the real process is that I have no idea how the ghost deck works and why it works, or why any other tool like astrology or numerology or colour meanings or any other thing that's a tool created by humans for humans to use works. I don't know why, but I do know that I can trust it. Every time I pick up a tarot card, because I have learned from experience again and again and again that I can trust the process, then I know to trust the process. And if I trust the process, then I can trust the information that's given to me. And when I trust the information that's given to me, I can go places that I couldn't have gone before. And that's the process. So, there's the story. Make what you will of it. But I'll leave you with a last thought about how it works. While I was thinking about this story, I connected in a game world that I go to with someone that I don't know but I've met. And we were just chatting, and she wrote something to me that was exactly what I wanted to say now in this video. So that's how it works. I hadn't gone looking for it. She hadn't gone looking to tell it, but she did it. And it was just what I wanted to say to you, but I hadn't said it. So now I will. My logical brain and my spiritual brain are wont to battle, but as I get older, I'm getting better at understanding the two aren't mutually exclusive. So thank you for listening. It's been a real adventure, and it's just this one. There'll be another one, another episode, another process. I hope you come along with me and with Terry and with the Ghost Tarot, and we'll do this together and have some more fun. So, till next time, thank you. Bye-bye.